of touring the AFC South. This week, again, it's just me, no guest tonight, but the title of this show is Swings and Misses, aka Where Did We Go Wrong? Let's break it down what that's going to be. Basically, what that's going to be is we had free agency happen. We had teams select players and, well, not select players, but identify players to bring in and, well, of course, pay contracts. Now, a lot of those signings, and a lot of people talk about the good signings and the people that did well and in free agency and things like that. But in the AFC South, you got to bring the good and you also got to bring the bad. So, of course, we're going to talk about the signings that either got you perplexed or just were flat out bad. I'll pick one for per team because, of course, we can't be here all night. But we're going to talk about those signings. We're going to talk about how bad they were, how great they were, or anything of that nature, or what you think about them, and we'll go from there. But first, before we get started, what I'm going to do also is talk about maybe a couple, well, one bit of news in the conference that, in the division that happened this week. Well, first thing is Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz was a defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles last year. He ended up, froze up on me. Froze up on me. Low can freeze up on me. Froze up on me. Freeze up on me. Frozen. There we go. Now I'm not frozen anymore. There we go. But sorry about that, everybody. But first thing we're going to talk about tonight is Jim Schwartz. He was the Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator. Decided he was going to sit down for a minute, but he just couldn't sit down. He's coming back. He's going to be an assistant or senior defensive assistant, I believe, for the Tennessee Titans. Coming back to a place where he had his most success as a defensive coordinator. For those that don't remember, before he got his first head coaching gig, he was the defensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans. He made them a very good defense, and then he left for his first head coaching job. Of course, he's had a couple, and they didn't necessarily turn out well. So, they're bringing him back here. It's going to be interesting. He's more of a 4-3 guy with, the wide nine in terms of the defensive ends. So it's going to be interesting to see how that mixes with a 3-4 defense. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm not sure how that mixes, but we'll see as things go on in the season. We'll see. That's all I can say, really. As far as other news that we've got, and of course, just want to mention ahead of time, the case is not over. Nothing has been resolved yet, and there's still things coming out. But right now, Nike and Deshaun Watson have, kind of paused their contract with each other while he's being investigated for sexual assault. Of course, there's about 22 women that have come forward or talked about, him being charged or inappropriate things happening. Of course, we don't know the result either way right now. And of course, I'm not going to speak on it all the way because I'm like, okay, we're still, it's still a case that is still, ongoing. But, as of right now, Nike has paused its relationship with Deshaun Watson. Of course, he did lose a couple things with Beats by Dre. I believe he lost that one. There was another one as well, but I just can't remember off the top of my head. But, yeah, a couple relationships got terminated. So that isn't necessarily the best news for Deshaun Watson. And, we'll see what happens, and we'll keep an eye on that as the offseason goes on and as the results come out. Again, like I mentioned, today's show is about the swings and misses in free agency. aka Where Did We Go Wrong? And for those that don't know, that was a song by LTD back in the day. No, I'm not gonna sing LTD. No, I'm not gonna play LTD. Because if I do play LTD, that means I'm probably gonna get some kind of notification that I'm playing music unauthorized. So no, we will not be doing that tonight. But we will be talking about these teams in the AFC South. First, we're gonna start with the big money team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now they had a lot of money to spend. They went out and got one of the Griffins from Seattle. I mean, they went out. They spent money. They did what they felt they needed to do, and they spent money. And of course, I don't want somebody all in my pockets, but I'm gonna dive a little bit in theirs and ask one question: why did you sign James Shaughnessy back and Chris Manhertz from the Carolina Panthers? Again, those are two tight ends, James O'Shaughnessy and Chris Manhertz. Let's talk about Manhertz. Manhertz had 6 receptions last year. 6. 6 receptions. That's all I got. I mean, maybe he's a great blocker. And you better hope he's a great blocker. I mean, because honestly, they need somebody to come in and catch passes. And look at James O'Shaughnessy. He's never had over 30 catches in one season. Never. And he hasn't been, he's been, I'm not saying he's been in the league a long time, but he's been in the league long enough to have more than 30 catches in one season. 30 receptions in one season. Keep in mind that's 16 games in a season. That's less than 2 catches a game. So is that really going to solve that tight end position for the Jaguars? Now, if they have something in mind to go in the draft and pick a tight end that's going to be an impact in the passing game, then go ahead. Make it happen. But these two, no. They will not be making it happen in the passing game. And when you have a young quarterback, what is his best friend? Usually a tight end. So with a young quarterback, you need a tight end. These two are not going to catch it, let alone probably get open. So unless they got something else up their sleeve or they're planning on barely using the tight end and going to 3 and 4 wides, who knows? Maybe Urban Meyer wants to do that. But whatever the case is, they definitely had a chance to upgrade that position and didn't upgrade that position. So that's just that's something to watch for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I just don't understand the signing of those two guys. But hey, that's why I am an analyst, journalist, writer, and that's why they're general managers. Maybe they have some double secret plan that we don't know about. Maybe one day we'll see. All right. But, next, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about another team in the AFC South and one that doesn't have very many expectations to even win the division. And that would be the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans signed, they signed a few people. They signed Tyrod Taylor to a nice contract. They traded for Ryan Finley from the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I know nobody really knows who Ryan Finley is. I guess I felt like just saying Ryan Finley, but nobody knows who he is. But that's 2 quarterbacks. They're probably going to need them. But then you trade for Marcus Cannon from the Patriots. And after that, there was a bunch of signings to people to 1-year deals. Of course, Tyrod Taylor's a 1-year deal, but there was a ton of people to 1-year deals. Now, if I really wanted to, I could probably go through all of the people that signed 1-year deals and explain to you why they signed 1-year deals. For example, Joe Thomas is coming to the Houston Texans from the Dallas Cowboys. He's got some incentive-laced contract, and it's really for 1 year. But honestly, I don't know why he's there, but that's what they want to do. That's what they want to bring in. Hey, there you go. But he's already been beaten out for positions in Green Bay and in Dallas. I don't think he's winning a position in Houston. Or a backup position, yes. But is he going to be a difference maker? I can't say that with a straight face at this point, even though I'm giving you a straight face now. But my choice for a swing and a miss has to be Chris Conley. Now, earlier in his career, he was in Kansas City, and he's playing with Patrick Mahomes, and you're thinking, okay, maybe this guy can do it. Or was he playing with? Well, anyway, he was playing in Kansas City in Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy's offense. Well, I would just say Eric Bieniemy's offense because he's the offensive coordinator. But they were playing in Eric Bieniemy. He's playing in Eric Bieniemy's offense. He showed potential, and you're like, okay, cool, maybe he can do a few things. Then he signed with Jacksonville, and it's almost like it disappeared, just like Kaiser Sose and the usual suspects. And now he reappears, and honestly, at first I didn't even know he was a free agent. And secondly, I didn't know anybody would think to sign him. But the Houston Texans did. I know he's fast. But Jacksonville needs a wide receiver. They have Chenault and they have DJ Chark. And they aren't necessarily the greatest team at throwing the football. They aren't. Some of that's with the quarterback, some of that's with the offensive line, some of that's with, there's plenty of blame to go around. But there should still have been more happen for Chris Conley in Jacksonville. He was the veteran guy on that in that receiver crew. I mean, there's a lot of young guys, but he was more of a veteran than a lot of those guys in that receiving room. Yet he had 40 catches? I don't even know he had 40, maybe 30. I don't. Just looking at it, a team that you could step up, be the veteran, and make some things happen. He did very little, and you would expected more, especially when they signed him away. You're like, okay, cool, maybe he can step in and do some things. Nah, we didn't hear much from him. So now it's almost like he's come out of the witness protection program and joined the Houston Texans, which that might be the witness protection program this year in terms of the NFL. But that's another story. That's here nor there. But what I'm looking at is, okay, they had Brandon Cooks last year, which he was their top receiver. They had Randall Cobb. They had Will Fuller, who left to go to Miami. And now they bring in, replacing Will Fuller with, you guessed it, Chris Conley. No, that's drop off. And I don't know necessarily if they're trying to collect journeyman wide receivers there or veterans that are not necessarily what they used to be. I don't know what's going on, but whatever it is, it doesn't smell good when it comes to Houston. It just doesn't smell good when it comes to Houston at all. And, hopefully it works out for both of them. But honestly, I have no idea why they brought him there. I have no idea what his contribution will be. And honestly, it'll seem like he jumped from one team that's not going to be very good to another team that's not going to be very good. And he might not get any playing time there either. So, or let alone may not make the team potentially. We'll see what happens. I mean, he's got I think he's got a $200,000 signing bonus that he signed with them, that he got from them. He may see that, and then he may, get chucked a deuce about halfway through the season if he makes it that far. Now, if he has a great season, I'll gladly eat all the words I just said about Chris Conley. But, chances are he's probably not going to have a great season. Yeah, it is what it is. All right. Well, I think I've done enough talking about the Houston Texans. You know, like I said, I could have picked anyone, but hey, I did pick him tonight. He was the guy I picked. I hope he has a great season, and there's no disrespect to him. I hope he has a great season, but I just don't see it working out. And if he didn't stick in Jacksonville and where they needed wide receiver help and a veteran, then I don't see it working out in Houston where they don't have much. You know, you can probably always count on Tyrod Taylor to get pulled for no apparent reason, get pulled from the lineup for no apparent reason. So we'll see what happens in Houston and, all these 1 and 2 year deals they sign players to. So we'll see from there. All right. Now we move on to the team that was one of the least active teams in the AFC South, the Indianapolis Colts. They had money. They did trade for Carson Wentz, so that did make noise. But when it came to free agency, Isaac Rochelle and backup offensive tackle that maybe could start for them. That was pretty much it. Got to replace Costanzo for the Colts who retired this offseason. But other than that, very, very quiet. They did bring back T.Y. Hilton on a 1-year deal. That was a good move for them. However, one move I just don't understand is in the running back room. For those that remember, Marlon Mack was their starting running back, and he was going to be their guy going into last year. Well, he hurts himself early in the season, really doesn't factor in the running back room, and rookie Jonathan Taylor takes over. Now, he struggles at first a little bit, but as he starts to right himself, he gets over 1,000 yards rushing. A lot of people think he's the guy. He is their leading running back from here on out. And then you have a guy named Nyheim Hines that is catching the ball out of the backfield. He's running the ball. I mean, he's doing everything for the Colts. He's being there. Basically, he's there. He dips in his toolkit every game, just with the catching the passes, the running the ball, all the different things he can do. So you would think that the Colts would move forward with Taylor and Hines as their two guys that they can hang on to and hang their hat on doing well. Well, what do? They go bring Marlon Mack back for another season. So now you've got Marlon Mack, you got Jonathan Taylor, and you got Nyheim Hines. Now, one of these backs is going to suffer in terms of carries or touches. And more than likely, it's going to be Nyheim Hines. I hate it that that's going to happen, but potentially he is the guy that's going to get less touches. And if you watch the Colts last year, he was electric for them at times when he got touches. With less touches means less explosion. And for an offense that needs explosive players and explosive people on the field, that the move just didn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I like Marlon Mack, nothing against Marlon Mack at all, but I don't like that move to bring him back to that team. They would have been just fine moving forward with Taylor and Hines and just figuring things out from there. They could have brought in maybe a rookie in the draft to be like their third running back or something of that nature. But other than that, you don't put anybody else in that room. But they decided to put Marlon Mack back again. So we'll see how that works out. We'll see if he starts, if he comes in off the bench, how they work that out. I mean, what can make it even worse is if he actually has a really good start and he ends up starting and has a really good start to the season. Then it basically means you kind of drafted Jonathan Taylor and you're not using him. And then Nyheim Hines is suffering on touches as well. So, they've got a lot of things to figure out in that Colts running back room. And for a team that needs the running game to step up and be consistent, because, I mean, if you watch the Colts, their running game, some of it was pinned on the running backs and Jonathan Taylor not finding holes and things like that. But let me tell you a secret. Besides a couple guys on that Colts line, Who can you really depend on? I'm gonna give you about 5 seconds because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna give you 10. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna give you 5 or 10. But anyway, just taking a look at them, there's nobody else you can depend on besides their center and a guard. And especially with Costanzo gone, there's questions that need to be answered with that offensive line. So if they think the running back was the issue, and then bringing all these running backs is going to help, no. You could have moved forward. You could have done other things at the tackle position. But here we are. Here's what the Colts have, and this is what we're going to see going into this year. So we're going to figure out if Marlon Mack is healthy. We're going to figure out if he's carrying half the load, some of the load, or none of the load, and how much Naeem Hines factors into the game plan. So we're going to see how that works out. And for the Colts fans and all the Colts out there, I guess you hope it works out well. But you got a pretty crowded room, and hopefully no egos are involved. All right, last but certainly not least, you have the Tennessee Titans. They were pretty active in the free agency. They signed Bud Dupree from the Pittsburgh Steelers. They did bring in Danico Archery from the Indianapolis Colts to pair beside him and Jeffrey Simmons. They also brought back Jayon Brown. They replaced Corey Davis with Josh Reynolds from the Los Angeles Rams, which I think that's a bargain basement deal that's going to probably work out very well for them because he just needs opportunity. And, you've got those pieces right there. So with the Titans, and then, of course, you let go of Kenny McCarl and Malcolm Butler and Adoree Jackson. So you're going to have pretty much a new secondary. 3 of the 4 members are gone. Only one stands, Kevin Byard. So, they did replace one with Janoris Jenkins, and then brought in a corner from Cleveland as well. So, and then also you do have Tristan Fulton. So, yeah, I think they'll be solid there. And then Hooker as one of the safeties. Can't remember his first name. Anyway, basically, they're up there. They envision themselves upgrading defensively. So, but my issue with them is not on the defensive side and what they did there, because I think they did well there. And then as far as not even at the skill positions, replacing Corey Davis. My issue is the tackle position, and more importantly, Tyson Bryo. They're bringing him back. And of course, you have they signed Kendall Lamb this offseason from Cleveland, and presumably he's going to be the starter. For those Titans fans that don't remember who he is, he's the big offensive lineman that caught the touchdown pass against you when Cleveland came to Nashville. So he's coming here to be the starting offensive tackle in my estimation. Then you have Quisenberry, but then who's the tackle that can go one side or the other. Then you have Tyson Bryo. So my question is, okay, you have 3. You usually carry about 3 tackles on the team. You saw what Quisenberry could do last year. So unless you're having Tyson Bryo and he's the most versatile lineman ever, why are you bringing him back? Maybe a competition with Quisenberry to see who's the backup? Maybe. But honestly, I don't understand the reasoning of bringing him back. It just honestly, you could have drafted somebody. I mean, I know the Titans have been very good about doing that. But honestly, why bring him back? I just don't understand, why you needed to. I know he played well. I know he got injured last year. But, I mean, you could have moved on with Quisenberry and been just fine. I mean, the Titans have done that before. The Titans let their offensive tackle go last year. Then Dennis Kelly stepped in. Now Dennis Kelly got waived, and they're bringing in another offensive tackle. So it was Jack Conlon they got rid of first, and then Dennis Kelly stepped in, and now Dennis Kelly's gone, and now they're bringing in a offensive tackle from Cleveland Browns. So, I mean, honestly, I think that they probably should have just drafted someone, filled the hole that way, or brought in maybe more of a utility offensive linemen because those offensive linemen as backups are worth their weight in gold. So that was my thinking on that. I mean, they could have done something else to that position, but hey, they got a guy they're comfortable with, but it could have did something different, just in my estimation. Now you've heard all my picks for mix-ups and mess-ups and swings and misses for teams in the AFC South. Here's what I want from you. Comment. Now you can comment here on the Habs app, which I am broadcasting from, which I am enjoying, and you can actually broadcast from YouTube to Facebook, to Twitter, Twitch. You can broadcast to all these places at the same time. Oh, YouTube too. And it's definitely very easy. It's free. You can just come in and set up an account, and if you want, hey, I can put my link out there. Just let me know. I'll send you a link. You can actually set up your own account here too. It's free and it's fun, and they also give you coins, with which you can give to people that are broadcasting, like me and many others that are on the Haps app as well. And definitely, if you want to comment here, that's fine. You can comment on Twitter. You can find me there at MikePatton82. I'll pin the show at the top of my page on Twitter, so it'll be a little easier for anyone to find me. I'm also on Facebook at my page on there, Sports Awakening, or you can just find me at Mike Patton. Of course, there's probably plenty of them, but of course, I just remember I'm not the one that sings because apparently I get confused with him on Twitter, even though I'm obviously a black man and he is a white man. But yeah, go figure how that happens. I don't know. But anyway, you can find me on Twitter at MikePatton82. You can find me on Facebook as well. Definitely want to hear from you. Want to know what your thoughts are on what I said tonight, what you think could be different. And hey, even if you don't have a team in the AFC South, definitely would love to hear from you because I don't just talk AFC South. I definitely do talk NFL football as well, or just around the NFL. Once again, I'm Mike Patton. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, you saw the title, Swings and Misses. Of course, I gave it another title, Where Did We Go Wrong? I did not sing LTD. I did not play LTD, so please don't ban my broadcast, social media, Facebook, Twitter. Don't do it. I did play the song. But thank you all for tuning in tonight. I will be back next week, and you'll have to tune in to what we're talking about next or what potential guests we have next as well. I thank you for tuning in. You all have a great rest of your night, a great Friday, and a great weekend. I'm out.